Unless you've been living under a rock that's no rum whatsoever, you will know this rum that's in my hand right now. This is Kraken Black Spiced Rum. Now, this is one of the most accessible bottles of rum you can get. It's available in almost every supermarket. It's a lot of people's first rum they've tasted. Today, we're going to take a bit of a deep dive into Kraken Black Spiced Rum. My name's James, and I talk about rum. And today, I've chosen Kraken as my first video to do because we've all tasted it, but we don't know a lot about it. So in this video, we're going to do a bit of a tasting. We're going to mix it with some Coke. We're going to talk about tasting notes. Yes, we're going to do all of that. But we're also going to talk about how is this made? How has it got its name? Why is it so black? We're going to cover all of that. And if that interests you, stick around. So Kraken Black Spiced Rum, it came out in 2009, which is crazy because it feels like it's been out forever. It hit our shores here in the UK in 2010. I think that's the same kind of internationally. Usually they start stuff on small batches, so that's most likely what happened in 2009. It was produced by Proximo Spirit. Well, when I say produced, they're the brand. They created Kraken, but they're not the distillery. Now the distillery is one in Trinidad. I'm not sure how true this is, but it's said that it's one that's linked to the same producers of Angostura, who also make fantastic rums, as well as these bitters that you've probably seen as well. So Proximo are the brand, and in Trinidad, or possibly Trinidad Distillery Limited, they're the distillery that make it. So 2010, Kraken comes out. But why is it called Kraken? To all of you Pirates of the Caribbean lovers in the second and third film anyway, you will all be familiar with the Kraken. It made a huge part in the second one. But a Kraken is a sea monster from back in ye old times of naval sails and pirates. And this is where the branding came from. So, the story is, the Kraken, it took down a ship that was carrying spiced rum. But some of the ink from the Kraken, it got onto that spiced rum. And even though the ship was destroyed, there was one barrel of spiced rum that came out that was stained by the ink of a Kraken. And that's why this is so black. We'll talk about the real reason why it's black in a second. It's kind of a cool story though, isn't it? Now in my opinion, Kraken isn't so popular because of how this tastes. There's lots of rums out there that I believe taste much, much better. Agree with me, disagree with me, that's completely up to you. But what Kraken have done spectacularly is they've marketed a rum extremely well. As I said at the beginning, this is an iconic bottle. This is an iconic colour. And everyone kind of knows the Kraken, and now they associate Kraken with rum. So, if it's not squid ink that's made this black, why is Kraken so black in colour? Now, many of you may think that it's due to the aging process. This has been aged between 1 and 2 years, so maybe while it's been in those barrels, it's got this colour. Well, that's not the case, because it's going to take something ages, decades, hundreds of years. I've got 21-year rums, I've seen older rums, and they're nowhere near this colour here. So how does it get so black? Well, the trick in rum, and this doesn't mean a rum's good, this doesn't mean a rum's bad, it's just a trick in rum that is used quite widely, especially with spiced rums. There's caramel colouring. So it doesn't affect the flavour, but what they do is, it's called E150. It's a colouring that they add to rum that makes it dark, like this. As I said, you can't really judge if a rum's good or bad by the colour, and the colouring of rum, it's a completely different topic, but there's a lot behind that. So this isn't aged enough to make it this colour. Chances are there's no real Kraken ink in here, and it is from the caramel E150 colouring. So how is Kraken actually made? Well, we've already established that this is a Trinidad rum, a Caribbean rum. Now it's aged for 1 to 2 years. This is a molasses based rum. To be a rum, it must be made from the byproducts of sugarcane, and that is either molasses, sugarcane juice or sugarcane syrup. This has been aged for 1 to 2 years, and here, this bottle here in my hand is 40% ABV. I know it's a bit stronger in some other places around the world. If you know how strong it is where you are, please just let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to know. I've heard 47%, I've heard 45%, but I've seen it, apparently it goes as low as 35%. So let me know if that's true. Anyway, so Kraken, molasses based, it's been aged, it's 40%, maybe higher, maybe lower. and then you add your spices to this. So it's a spiced rum. The actual recipe isn't published. It's not known to people. So, but what we do know is it's got some vanilla in it. It's got cloves. It's got pepper. You know, we could kind of work that out ourselves. After it's been spiced, it's been distilled, it's been spiced, it then gets sweetened and flavoured. And we've got stuff like Kraken and, you know, Captain Morgan's that actually produce more to be consistent rather than, you know, this craft of rum. But that's exactly how this is made. Wish we knew more about what was inside it, but this is exactly what we do know. So let's give Kraken a taste. Let's give it a smell. Let's give it a taste, and let's talk about the actual flavour and the profile of this rum, because it doesn't really happen so much because it's just Kraken. A lot of you just mix this, which is fine. You know, I think this is a drink that's been designed to mix. I've been a bit of a critic about Kraken, and not because personally I have anything against Kraken or anything that it stands for. I think it's cool marketing. But I think for the price, I think, you know, it's a bit overpriced for what it is. I don't think it's a fantastic rum. So, one of those reasons is because of the sort of flavour profile of this. There's not much to it. You know, you smell treacle. It smells kind of like you're baking a Christmas cake, but without it actually tasting like a Christmas cake. You know, that treacle. It's got vanilla, it's got cloves, it's got a bit of a citrusy flavour, but there's something that just doesn't sit right. There's kind of that chemically sort of smell about it. Bit of pepper in there as well, but enough yapping, we'll just give it a taste. And the first thing that comes to mind is it burns, and rum really shouldn't burn like that. Yes, it's alcohol. Yes, it's strong rum, and maybe that should burn. But this is 40%. You can drink much smoother, stronger rums. So the taste is kind of taken away, that first kind of tasting of it. When you get past that sort of bitter burn, it's mainly a molasses sort of flavour. The flavours are too strong for those spices to really come out, and this is why I believe this drink has been created mainly to mix. So you're getting some spices in there, but mainly you're getting this sort of treacly molasses sort of taste. It's a bit sticky. It's not as warm as I like. As I said, there's a lot of better rums out there for the same sort of price point, which I think has just got a more interesting taste profile. I can't get over that kind of down the side here and here. It just tastes a bit horrible. It tastes a bit off, and the quality just isn't there, especially for something that's got a couple of years aged. You know, the rum base is actually a good rum, so whatever they do to make it that sort of consistent flavour, it just doesn't work for me. So in my opinion, Kraken is best enjoyed mixed with a bit of Coke or Pepsi or whatever cola-based drink you are drinking. So I'm on Pepsi Max trying to watch that waste, but this is how it started for me. Rum and Pepsi, mainly because I was drinking cheap rum and Pepsi was like £1 a bottle. And right there, the flavour comes out. Again, it's not perfect. It's not the best rum and Coke I've ever had in the world, but it's consistent. If you have something like, again, Captain Morgan's Spiced Gold, I think there's not much taste to it. It kind of tickles your tongue rather than you enjoy it. So obviously, I believe that Kraken is better than that. I'm getting a few more tastes out there. But drinking it neat, drinking it mixed, I couldn't tell you 100% 10 ingredients that I think are in those spices. I think the rumour has it there's 12 to 14 spices in it. I can guess probably 4 to 5. But if you get me a bottle of Chairman's Reserve spiced or a Drop Works, you know, I can really spend time working on those flavours. Just doesn't work the same. If you just want something that you know what it tastes like, you know exactly what you're drinking. But again, the taste to the price, it just doesn't sit well with me. So how did Kraken get so big so quick? Well, I think Kraken, I've already said, it came out in 2009, it hit our shores here in 2010, but it came out in the right time of curiosity. It came out, at the peak of Facebook. It came out when we wanted something a bit premium. There weren't many premium rums, even in 2010, and, we were drinking Lambs, Captain Morgan's, Sailor Jerry's, Bacardi. There wasn't a huge array in the supermarket, at least, of rums. So Kraken came out at the right time, and it was a marketing genius. It was a bit more mysterious. It was probably floating on the success of those Pirates of the Caribbean film, because, it's got this nautical feel about it. The bottle, as I said, it's iconic. You don't get as many sort of mainstream iconic bottles like you do with Kraken. Everything, you look at this and you'll go, this could, especially in 2010, this is a premium rum. There's 3 things that people say, just for balance, that they have issues with when it comes to Kraken. I agree with some of these. The first one is around sweetness. When it comes to sort of artificial flavouring, sugar content, when it comes to rum, that actually is a sticking point when it comes to people and rum. Not everyone, a lot of people are drinking this, obviously. The second one, and I've touched upon this a bit earlier, is not disclosing exactly what's inside the bottle. It's weird in alcohol and these sorts of drinks where you don't actually have to say it. If you buy some food, you have to actually know what's inside it, but with drinks, it's not the same. So when it comes to a lot of the mainstream rums out there, especially the spice rums, we don't know what spices are in there. We don't know what flavourings in there. We don't know what's real and what's fake. And the third one, and I kind of agree with this, is that the marketing is a lot stronger than the liquid. That's okay. That happens a lot, and there's a lot of rums and drinks that kind of fall under that category in every, maybe food as well. So people aren't always fans. One thing I've got to say though is it's got a lot of people into rum. This is the entry level rum for a lot of people, and for that you've got to be grateful, you've got to be thankful. It's a great little bottle for people who were curious and who wanted something different, and it got them into rum. Who should drink Kraken? Well, if you like sweetness, if you like something to mix, you like something with Coke, I wouldn't drink this neat, but if you want that sort of party sort of drink, maybe this is the exact rum for you. But on balance for that, and this is where I stand as well, Kraken doesn't taste enough like rum. So if you've got a Chairman's Reserve spiced rum, for example, it tastes like a rum that's been spiced. Dropworks spiced rum, that's up here, it tastes like a rum that's been spiced. And you get a lot of that rum taste. Whereas with Kraken, you don't really. It's too sweet to actually enjoy as a rum. If you like Kraken Black Spiced Rum, but you're looking at trying something different, I've got some recommendations for you. First of all, my route would always lead you to rum that's not been spiced, but let's just stick with spiced rum. So if you want 2 quality spiced rums, I would look at Foursquare Spiced Rum. It's not really available in many shops, I don't think I've seen it in many, but you can buy it online. And then there's Chairman's Reserve Spiced Rum. That is available in some supermarkets, but they're both delicious, rum based. When I was talking about it tastes like rum that's been spiced rather than just sweetness. These 2 tick those boxes. If you are really a fan of Kraken, but you want to try something that's like Kraken, but in my opinion better, there's a couple options out there for you. So there's Crusty Juggler, a great Cornish distiller. They produce a couple ranges that look like a lot like Kraken, but are much better. There's Black Tears Cuban Spiced Rum. That's available in some supermarkets. It's a really tasty, full of flavour black spiced rum. And then there's others about. So there's another one in Cornwall, St Ives. It's a Black Barrel Spiced Rum, or Island Black Barrel Spiced Rum. It's got a really long name, but that is really tasty as well. If you are on the route from spiced rum to rum, my recommendation is Chairman's Reserve. Yes, Chairman's Reserve Spiced Rum. And then they've got an original to that same price, So once you enjoy that Chairman's Reserve spiced rum, again, full of flavour, but you taste the rum, you can then hop across to Chairman's Reserve Original, and then you're drinking rum, and you're getting used to drinking rum that hasn't been spiced. And then there's a whole route, which we talk about in these videos later, which you can take. Kraken may not be the perfect definition of rum for a lot of people, but it's got a lot of people into rum in the last 15 years. Whatever you think about it, it's played an important part in rum, and if it's made more people interested in rum, I think that's a good thing. But if you want my opinion, if you're drinking Kraken or you're enjoying Kraken currently, try getting outside your comfort zone. Try changing it up a little bit and tasting some new rums. Always, you can message me in the comments. I will always give recommendations. But Kraken, it's an important bottle of rum. It's not my cup of tea, but that isn't fair on what Kraken has achieved. So, that's it from me. That's it from Kraken. Any questions, put them in the comments. And if you really want to, feel free to subscribe. Cheers.